Hey Acers! Welcome to tonight's installment of Ace Role Playing Games for the Ace Role Playing Games Club. Of course, that stands for Achieve, Create, and Entertain. I'm your host and Chief Acer. My name is Mason Emerson. I'm also known as Lord Beard to some of the local club here. And I am going to continue talking with you tonight about being able to extract good good things from watching YouTube videos and stuff to give us good game mastering tips. Now, last night I talked to you kind of narratively quickly through Belated Media, through their What If Episode 1 Was Good? Well, tonight I'm going to continue that with, I'm going to continue that with What If Episode 2 Were Good? And I'm going to pull that up over here right now. And then I'll pull it over here so I can look right at you while I kind of narrate you through this, because again, as much as I love the guy at Belated Media, I um, really wish that he would have done a no swears version for all three of them. So yeah, that said, I'm going to kind of walk you through the narration of What If Star Wars Episode 2 Were Good? And this is the one where he points out first that you need to take out your scripts, and everywhere that it says Naboo, cross it out and write Alderaan. Because, like I said in the last video, and kind of spoiled it for this one, but um, making it Alderaan makes it so we can know that, at least in the regular continuity of Star Wars, that this planet's gonna be toast. This planet is going to be blown up and destroyed. So this is a lesson to us on how to involve the players emotionally, because we want to make sure that we we do um, not only grab the characters and what they would do, but also emotionally grab the players. That's when they get true commitment to what they're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and narrate us through What If Episode 2 Were Good? And um, it still would have been grammatically correct to say What If Episode 2 Was Good, because he's talking about the single episode. But anyway, let's go ahead and just kind of walk through this, and I'll point out things as he points them out along the way. And so he takes the missteps, or he corrects the missteps of episode 2 and the changes from episode 1, episode 2, and 3. And so that's now, so he made some more drastic changes. Like, because the first thing he points out is the relationship that should be focused on. Because the the second movie focuses on Anakin and Padme, and he points out that it should be Anakin and Obi-Wan and their bromance, their best friendship that's building, that we're going to see horrifically dashed to pieces in the next film. And that's one of the lessons that we all as game masters need to learn, is we need to be able to let our player characters build bonds. And how do they build bonds? The same way that warriors and foxholes build bonds. They build them through putting characters into a dangerous situation and then letting them fight side by side to overcome it. Because I've known in my lifetime, I got the privilege of knowing some of the last people who fought in World War II, and their love for their compatriots is much like the love that I've seen on the soldiers who haven't fought in World War II but fought in battles since then, in Korea, Vietnam, and of course the Middle Eastern wars that we've been through in our lives. And by putting them in similar stressful situations and having them learn to rely on each other, they became tighter friends. And the same goes for your role playing game characters and your role playing game group. So I wanted to make that point here at kind of at the outset. And yeah, in episode 2, they're like, there's that one moment in the elevator where they're kind of like, yeah, we're friends and everything. This is cool. We love each other. But then the next thing they're kind of snarky and being, kind of bashing on each other. And then they end up splitting apart and being apart for most of the rest of the movie. So hold on. I think my wife is calling. Okay. I actually paused my video there so I could make sure that I wasn't needed upstairs because the dog's being turds. But yeah, so there's unrest in the Senate Republic needs an army. So the first thing he addresses is not the PS2 background and the elaborate game of Mousetrap, as he puts it, that Palpatine and Dooku play to get the clone army made it, you know. And again, this is one of the reasons why I also throw out a lot of other things that are canon to the Star Wars universe, because I don't like how in the Star Wars universe I will never know nearly as much as maybe you will. I mean, my son, he watches tons. He watches all the Star Wars things that come down the pike, and he raves and raves about how wonderful and good they are, and great. But I don't necessarily have the time, or in some cases, the interest in following those things. So we don't need Palpatine and Dooku to play that game of Mousetrap. And what ends up happening instead is um, you got you got these rise of separatist attacks, and the Jedi Council's like, we got to try and get to the bottom of this. And Palpatine comes in and just says, "Hey, um, we're going to have an army." And they're like, "Well, we don't really need an army." And he's like, "Well, I'm the head of security here, and I say we do need an army." And well, yeah, you're too late. I've already ordered the army. So the clone army's already being made. And as he's on his way out, then we can actually have him meet up with Yoda. Finally, we can introduce Yoda in this second film, and Yoda's like, "We don't need violence to do we?" And he and Palpatine's like, "Yeah, cool, but I already ordered it, so tough." So then it's already past the thing, and Yoda is the ideological opposite of Palpatine, and the the House of Alderaan has reached out to both the Separatists and the Senate, and is going to try and bring them together on Alderaan to actually let to have try and have peace talks. So as they're headed to the hangar from Coruscant to go, the Jedi are going to escort the senatorial ships. Um, is and that's where Anakin can be a little more reserved, and he's like, "I'm just not that great with the lightsaber yet. I'm just not that. I still have some things that I'm not so comfortable with, and I'm not trust. I don't know. I could trust that I could be on such an important mission." And Obi-Wan, he thinks that he tells Anakin, "The lightsaber's not what makes a Jedi. It look at Master Yoda. He never uses a lightsaber, and he's one of the greatest Jedi ever. And it's everything that Yoda stands for will never use a lightsaber." Another pilot comes up, shouting from down the hangar, and he comes up and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're Anakin Skywalker! I saw you at the pod race. I'm from Tatooine too. My name's Owen Lars," and he can totally fanboy out, and he can and when you get old enough to watch these videos, watch them. So this is creating an NPC that has a tie to one of the main characters, and this is where I highly recommend that you work with the players to build these NPCs. Sometimes in some games, especially if it's going to be a longer campaign or something, and maybe I should explain those terms if you're new to the Game Mastering channel and you haven't had a chance to really read some of the books and things like that. In Game Mastering, there is the Game Master, you. There are the players. They are their player characters. And then there are the non-player characters. Non-player characters fall into two categories. They are the allied NPCs. Non-player characters are NPCs. So allied NPCs and antagonistic NPCs. And antagonistic NPCs don't necessarily need to be evil. They just are opposed to the players getting what they want. So that is the difference in NPCs. Now, one of the things that Savage Worlds does brilliantly, and again, I plug Savage Worlds, www.peg.inc. Savage Worlds brilliantly handles non-player characters, and that the allied non-player characters are given to the players to play alongside with their player characters, so that way they can have an extra gun or they can have something else that is going to help them out, and those allied NPCs go on their turn. Whereas the antagonistic NPCs are yours as the game master to control. And you can use all sorts of tricks like body language and things like that to convey these NPCs, whether they're antagonistic. I mean, I guess there are in the middle NPCs that could go either way. And there are social conflicts that are designed to help raise or lower the thoughts that an NPC has about your characters. So just kind of continuing on here, we're going to make Owen Lars not Anakin's brother who marries a chick and his mom gets kidnapped, and Anakin ditches them with his overly dressed companion and goes and slaughters all the sand people, and then that's one of the things that he definitely takes care of. So they're escorting the senatorial ship off Coruscant when we get a nice space battle. Now, space battles, chases, plane battles, ship battles, there's a really cool subsystem in Savage Worlds for handling those kind of things. And I will definitely spend some time in another video talking about them because, I mean, frankly, I still have more to learn about them. I still have ways to learn how to do them better. And that's the great thing about game mastering, is that you're never going to master it. You're just going to keep learning how to do it better and how to better deliver the story to your players. And I have to say, shout out to FanX. I'm going to be presenting a panel there this fall. It might be a presentation, and in which case it's just going to become an audience participation presentation. But I'm going to be presenting a panel there, and I am hoping that if any of you are in the Utah, Salt Lake City area, and you can come up and you can catch my panel, and we'll have a good discussion about game mastering and things like that. So I will give more details on it when I have more details. I will be glad to share about that. So after the space battle, and during the space battle, as you can see that Anakin, who not only was great as a pod racing pilot, is now an actually great fighter pilot, and he is like Obi-Wan says in Star Wars, the best starfighter pilot in the galaxy. But we also flash over, as we're doing cuts around, we flash into the senatorial ship where Owen Lars is piloting that, and he's actually holding his own. They've got some onboard cannons, and he's actually getting the ship into position to be able to fire them. And after they survive the space battle, and these obviously were the Separatists attacking them. So they arrive on Alderaan. They park it. The Senate get members get off the ship and start heading in, and um, that's where Padme can introduce them to her brother Bail Organa. So that's one of the changes we're making as well, is that we're saying that we're tying in people who could be significant as characters. And whereas Padme is all about the Senate, her brother is kind of leaning toward the Separatists, but he's not quite fully committed that direction. He's like, this petty factionalism is really going to destroy us, and the Separatists are a little fractured. As a he's going to have a small arc in the prequels that talk about him setting up the rebellion basically in the future. So they're going to have dinner that night, the night before the Separatists are going to arrive. So Padme and them, they take him in there, but now Obi-Wan's a little disturbed because here he is back on Alderaan, where he saw his master get killed, and he feels bad about it. And there's just so much happiness and joy, just chatter going on around the room, and Anakin's just kind of getting into it. He's liking it a bit, but Obi-Wan's just pondering and pondering and pondering about this, and he remembers holding his master as his master died. And there's the banquet, and he's sitting opposite Padme, which he still has feelings for her, but he kind of blames himself for having feelings for her for the reason why his master got killed. And so he's more uncomfortable, and Anakin's finally grooving into this, and Obi-Wan just stands up abruptly, and this time it's Anakin. So instead of, like last time, Obi-Wan was comforting Anakin, now Anakin's coming out to comfort Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's just like, he doesn't fully explain the situation, and Anakin tries to make him feel better. Obi-Wan just kind of brushes it off and just goes back to their barracks and meditates. And outside on the on the balcony, that's where Owen joins Anakin outside, and they get to bond and remember things on Tatooine. And they talk about their backgrounds and what they're hoping for. And Padme doesn't want to be stuck in a room talking politics the whole time. And I love the point he makes here. Who wants a bunch of politics in Star Wars? And she offers to give the Tatooine boys a tour of the palace grounds. And Obi-Wan meditates, and as he's meditating, he gets a little vision, and he just kind of he rushes it off, and it's like he can't tell if it's friend or foe as he sees faces engulfed in flame. And they don't get much time. He doesn't get much time to think about it, because the next day the Separatists arrive, led by Count Dooku, and Owen and or not Owen, but Obi-Wan and Anakin are outside the Senate grounds, and they're just or the on the palace grounds, and they're just kind of keeping a perimeter guard. And while that's happening, an unidentified ship, Darth Maul's, lands inside the hangar bay, and the hangar control people are like, please identify yourself, and the ship says nothing. And that's when the Separatists say, how come you keep attacking us, to the Senate folks? And the Senate folks say back, well, how come you keep attacking us? And they're like, we're not attacking you, we haven't done anything. And then that's when they all suddenly realize, oh shoot, there's a third party in play. And at the same time, we've been building up this tension. And that's another thing, don't always fire the gun immediately. There's a scene from a great movie called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It is just a scene of looking at eyes as you have these three steely-eyed men glaring each other down, getting ready to pull out their guns and fire. And it's intense. So as they're erupting into accusing who side who, the suddenly the in the hangar bay, um, there's the ship fires at the control tower, and that's when Darth Maul and his robotic legs, and also a whole bunch of Trade Federation people, or the Trade Federation robots, they step off the ship, and everybody's pretty much in the same room, Separatist leadership and the Senate leadership, and Dooku just takes off and he heads through the door just as the blast doors close. And he goes running off. Obi-Wan sees him running off and thinks something's gone wrong, so Obi-Wan chases him. And Anakin's like, "I'm gonna stay here and try and get back into the Senate room, or into the palace room where the blast doors is closed." And he was running around trying to get a place. And Darth Maul, he tries to cut his way in. This is where we could get that cool lightsaber cutting through the door scene. And as he's cutting through it, that's when Anakin runs up, and even though he's not confident with his lightsaber, he's just like, "No, you're not going to do that." And Darth Maul's like, and um, and he's actually quite capable, but there's a number of droids that almost overwhelm him, and then Owen shows up from behind and helps the droid and helps him out with the blaster by taking down some of the droids. Maul cuts his way in the conference room. Anakin chases after him. Maul is approaching Padme and several separatists and senators. That's when Anakin dives in and locks blade with Darth Maul. They fight, and Darth Maul just toys with them. And then as and he kind of hisses at Anakin and says, "If you were to only embrace the dark side, you become more powerful than you can ever imagine." And then as they try and fight a little bit longer, he just lightsaber chops off Anakin's right hand. And then Obi-Wan shows up, lightsaber comes out, and it is on. And they fight, and then Maul and his droids escape, and that's because just as they're fighting, there's just blasts flying all over the place, and that's when Palpatine shows up with the clone troops, and they chase off the invading Trade Federation droid people, and Maul escapes, and Palpatine's like, "Hey, if I hadn't shown up, you'd all be captured by now." And 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 the senators and separatists all suggest that there might be a third party in play, and Palpatine's and his generals are like, "We're thinking Dooku and Maul might be linked because," and as Belated Media puts it, fun fact, Dooku used to be a Jedi, but he quit. So he deserted the council. Didn't hear from him, and we didn't hear from him until he resurfaces the voice of the separatists. And he probably fell to the dark side, and now he's leading the separatists. And this event is a platform to deliver Blood of the Republic. And while Anakin's convalescing after having his hand chopped off and being kind of a hero, um, first Obi-Wan and Yoda are talking, and Yoda says, "Don't go chasing Dooku. You really don't want to do that." And then Obi-Wan tells about the vision, and Yoda uses the Force to see it himself. And he says, "Nope, nope. Second thought, go find Dooku." And as Dooku was taking off, Obi-Wan did throw a tracker on a ship, and so he knows that he's over on that planet, wherever that planet is, and he goes there, and he leaves Anakin there to convalesce, and actually that's where Anakin and Padme can fall more in love. And Obi-Wan gets out there, and he might even have to fight like a few monsters or something to get into Dooku's palace. Dooku's like, "Hey, it's really cool that you showed up. I actually was being tempted by the dark side, but I came out here to cleanse myself, and I cleansed myself." But then Palpatine showed up, and he's like the Sith, and he's gonna try and destroy everything, and that's where you know, and it turns out that Dooku trained Qui-Gon, and he took Hermitage there, so just clear that up. And Darth Sidious, he just knows him as Darth Sidious, and he's like, "I'm a Sith Lord. I'm gonna take you over," and Dooku's like, "Nope, nope, I'm not gonna do that." And so Sidious is like, "Well, since you know about me, I'm gonna just send people out there to destroy you." And he's like, "We don't know how deep this conspiracy goes," and Padme and Anakin are starting to fall for each other as Anakin's got his new robotic hand, and Palpatine receives word from a bounty hunter that Dooku's on Geonosis. That's the name of the planet, and he's going to be doing full-scale assault. And that bounty hunter who found it out could even be Boba Fett if you want it to be Boba Fett. So there, he's already sent the clone army off to go demolish Dooku, and Anakin and Padme are like, crap, that's where Obi-Wan is. So they get in a ship as well with Lars and with Owen Lars, and they jet it out there, and that's where Obi-Wan's trying to convince Dooku to come back with them, and um, and that's when Dooku's like, no, I gotta stay here, and so Obi-Wan and Anakin and Padme all get back out on the ship, and at the end of this, they watch as they're flying off as the clones are flying in, and they destroy Dooku's fortress, and that's where we can even have a moment of Anakin standing next to Padme, looking out a large space window, kind of much like the end of Empire Strikes Back, and it's just there's darkness all around them, but Obi-Wan says there is hope all around us still. There is light. We just have to find it. And so that's the end of episode 2. And I know I kind of rambled a little bit in some places, and I apologize for that. But I'm going to promise that I'll get better. And after I do this third one, I will continue to just focus this in on other good game mastering tips. I actually am getting ready to play in a Star Wars game on Saturday. I'm going to play a Mon Calamari. And I've named him Diocidus G, which Diocidus gigantus is the Latin name for the um, Humboldt squid, which is also the jumbo squid or jumbo flying squid. And I'm in it, and I am just fascinated by it. And well, Mon Calamari. I mean, come on, my squid dish dinner. That's what he named it. So that's one of those things. But anyway, again, another longer one, and I just, like I said, my goal of last night's, tonight's, and tomorrow night's videos are that I really don't want you to go look up Belated Media's version of what if episode 1, 2, and 3 were good, because I want you to preserve that innocence a little bit longer. And there's some swears in those things, and I really don't want your parents killing me. I want your parents actually participating in our quest to bring an Ace role playing club to every friendly local game store. And friendly local game store owners, if you get a chance to watch these, I want you to please think about letting us have some space there on one night a week, because this is getting teens into the store to develop the gaming bonds that are there. And hey, as people who go to a store frequently, we end up buying things. I scored and I bought the Dresden Files books, and we are going to make this a great club system and make it so a player from any one of the ACE clubs can go visit their friend in another city, and their friend in the other city will say, oh, hey, you want to go to our ACE club tonight? And so they can go on vacation and visit their friend. They can go from Utah and visit their friend in Ohio, and their friend in Ohio will say, hey, our friendly local game store has a club called Ace Role Playing Games. And they'll be able to say, yeah, I'm from Utah. I was there at one of the near founding clubs of the thing. So I want to be able to help you guys set up those clubs. I want to be able to make it so a parent or more or one or more parents can be the sponsors of those clubs, and they don't need to learn how to game master unless they want to, because sometimes, hey, being the adult with a game ready to go, that's helpful. But this is just one of the things that I'm hoping to help you guys do as I help you guys become better game masters and better citizens of the world. And just learn to love everyone, because everyone's got the same goal of telling a great story. So, game for good. And this is Mason Emerson from Ace Role Playing Game Clubs signing off for tonight.